My name is Simon, and I'm the head of music at QE. I'd like to introduce you to my colleague Steve.
Hello.
Steve. What I'd like to do first is give you an introduction to the music course. Oh, I've lost you. Hold on. Hello?
We've lost you, Simon.
Okay, hold on a second. I don't know what's happened there. So, okay, sorry, I'll try and get this sorted out. I run the A-level music course. The music course, if you're interested, is comprised of 3 modules. If you're doing GCSE music, the modules are very similar to what you'll be doing at the moment. So you have a written paper that you complete at the end of the 2 years. You also have compositions to do, and you have a performance to do. For the performance, you need to do 10 minutes at a minimum at a grade 5 standard. Those performances are recorded and then sent to the examiner, and they mark them. You also have to do 2 compositions. One composition is a free composition. The other composition is to a brief set by the exam board. The total duration of those 2 compositions is 4.5 minutes, and they are then sent to the exam board to be marked. And then there's a written paper, which comprises listening work, a bit of essay writing, and a bit of analysis. Steve, just take over a second. I'll just sort my Zoom out.
Yep, no problem. As far as the performance is concerned, I look at that side of the course. So you'll be having some one-to-one sessions with me over the duration of the 2 years of being at college, where we'll be having a listen to you playing, giving you some hints and tips as to how to get the best out of the A-level mark scheme. We do the recordings as and when you're ready in the second year, and then they'll all get sent off to be marked and hopefully get you a really high mark. Your performance level needs to be at around about grade 5 standard as a minimum. We advise you not to play anything much more difficult than that because it's counterproductive. So there's no real pressure on you playing grade 8 pieces for A level like it used to be quite a lot of years ago. Simon?
Okay. As well as the A-level music course, we have lots of extracurricular activities that take place in the college. I'm responsible for the college orchestra, which meets on a Monday morning. And we sort of welcome any instrumentalists in that group, from guitarists, traditional orchestral instrument, pianists, drummers, etc. We do a lot of film music in the orchestra. I also run the Baroque ensemble. So if you're a string player or play sort of Baroque flute or flute in the Baroque style, or any related instrument, then you're welcome to come along and participate in that ensemble. And I also run the classical choir, which meets on a Monday lunchtime. And we tend to do more traditional choir music. Some of it's religious, some of it isn't religious. Some of it's quite ancient, going back to the 15th, 16th century. Some is actually quite contemporary, 20th century. Steve?
Yep, and please do ask any questions using the Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen if you've got any questions as we go along as well. I run the big band, which is a jazz ensemble, and that's mainly for sax, trumpet, trombone, piano, bass, drums, and guitars. So we do traditional big band music as well as some more contemporary things. We've done things as modern as the theme tune to Family Guy in the past, right through to the traditional Duke Ellington style pieces. Now, you will need to read notation for that, whether you're a sax player, drummer, bass player, whatever. All the music's given out in standard notation, so you would need to do that. We'll talk about the concert in a moment, but we do take part in the Great North Big Band Jazz Festival at Chester Street every year that we're allowed to. Our guitarist this year won the Best Soloist Prize in our section, so we're very proud of him. The other ensemble that I'm involved in is the Pop Choir. You might have heard it being referred to as the Rock Choir in previous years. We've had to change the name. We do bespoke arrangements of pop and rock songs, as the name suggests. Some are accompanied with a backing track, while others will be sung a cappella, so no accompaniments whatsoever. So we've done all sorts of stuff, from the Beatles to Journey to Katy Perry, to all sorts of stuff in that as well. You don't necessarily need to be a first study singer to take part, and you don't necessarily need to read music to take part in that as well. I do teach all the parts by rote as well. And we normally get about 20 to 30 in the choir each year.
One thing I would say is if you do A-level music, it's expected that you will be in at least one of the ensembles, hopefully more. We strongly suggest you actually join one of the choirs, because singing actually helps you develop your oral skills. If you come to QE and you're a bit weak in terms of your theory, what we really like is you to have your grade 5 theory before you come, but not all students have the opportunity to do that. So we run a grade 5 theory class. So if your theory is weak, we'd like you to attend that, and my colleague Steve runs that on a Tuesday lunchtime.
Yep, we do it. So we work at your pace and work at your gaps in your knowledge. So you're not all learning necessarily the same thing at the same time. If you're an expert on, say, notes in different clefs, we needn't do that in great detail with you, where we might need to with somebody else. So it shouldn't be any kind of waste of time for you at all. Lots of practice papers for you as well. And we will put you in for the exam as well when you're ready. If you want to go beyond grade 5 theory, we do offer grade 6 and above as well. The benefit of that is if you do grade 6 or above, you will be entitled to get some UCAS points, which can help you with university applications.
Another incentive to come to QE is if you're in one of our ensembles, we try to organise a tour. Our last tour was to Tuscany 2 years ago. So we stayed in Montecatini. We had a trip to Pisa. We went to the Leaning Tower. We gave 2 concerts in Florence. And we went to medieval town called San Gimignano and gave a concert in Siena as well. And then 2 years before that, we went to the Netherlands, and we gave concerts in Belgium, Germany, and one in Holland as well. So again, that's an opportunity at QE. We also have our annual concerts. At Christmas, we have the big Christmas Carol concert, which you'll all be expected to play in. And then in the spring term, towards Easter, we have the Chinsky Memorial Concert.
Yeah, as well as that, we often get opportunities to perform elsewhere. I mentioned about the big band taking part in the Great North Big Band Jazz Festival. Some of you, if you've played in the county big band for County Durham, may have taken part in that already. Other times we can go into partner schools. We might have been into your school at some point, and we sometimes give concerts there. And we sometimes have other schools coming in to do workshops with us as well. So you may be involved in those during your time at college. At the moment, of course, we're quite restricted with the coronavirus situation being as it is, but we're all chomping at the bit ready to go, so you can take part with us.
Okay, I think that's about all I spiel about our courses and the extracurricular activities. If you have any questions for either of us, can you please put them in the question answer tab, and we'll respond.
Just in case any of you have got any questions about the differences between A-level music and popular music, I do teach on both courses, so I will be able to answer any queries regarding the differences between the two. There is nothing to stop you doing both courses. If you're particularly keen on pursuing a career in music, for example, they do looking at both courses, I'll get my teeth in, do look at very different things. So the pop music is far more ensemble based. You don't need to read music, but there's a lot of playing from memory and developing skills and ideas with other people in your group. Whereas A-level music is a little more individually focused, more traditional. So it is looking at 2 very different parts of the music industry. In our first year, currently, we have 3 students who do both music courses.
Okay, waiting for your questions. Not yet.
Don't be shy.
Okay, what I might do in the meantime is we have quite a few students who do music as a 4th subject. One thing I would say about music is that it is not an easy course. There are so many skills involved. You have to be a reasonable performer, reasonably good at composing, reasonably good at listening, reasonably good at writing essays, reasonably good at analysis. And we do cover all this in the course. But one thing I would say to you is don't think, oh, music, I'll do from a fourth course could be an easy course, because it's not. It's actually quite a challenging course. It is a very valuable course, though, because a lot of universities recognise it, and for particularly the skills that you show being a musician, with perseverance, determination, etc. We have students who do it as a fourth subject, and there's no reason why you can't do the fourth subject if you so desire. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, waiting the course.
Simon broke it up there.
So I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah. 40% of the exam, the final mark, is from written paper at the end of the 2 years. 35% is from your performance, and 25% is from your composition. I did see a question disappeared now, saying what sort of music you study. Contents. There are very look at the first act of Mozart's Marriage of Figaro, and we look at romantic piano music, in particular works by Chopin, Brahms, and Grieg. That's the classical side of the course. And we also study music theatre, so we look at works by Rodgers and Hammerstein, particularly Oklahoma. We look at Sondheim, Stephen Sondheim, particularly at Sweeney Todd, and we look at Schoenberg as well, in particular Les Miserables. The other strand we do is pop music, so we look at people like Stevie Wonder, Joni Mitchell, Beyonce, Muse, Daft Punk, etc. So it's quite a varied course, and we study quite a varied range of music. Some of them in the exams, some of the times you'll hear music that you won't have studied, but relate to music that you have studied, and you have to answer questions about that music. Some are 1 markers, some are multiple choice, some are a bit longer, 10-mark questions. You also have to analyse a piece of one of the set works. We don't know which bit it'll be, but you're able to talk about what happens in the music, and you're able to do that by developing your analytical skills, which is something I provide a lot of support towards. And then there's a 30-mark essay to finish off the exam paper, and that is on music theatre. Okay, more questions.
For the popular music course, just seeing that question come through there. Thank you for that. The success rate of the popular music course is every single student over the last, I believe it's 4 or 5 years, have achieved at least a distinction, the vast majority of which have received a distinction star. Remember, this is a BTEC course rather than an A-level, so it's distinction, merit, and pass. So it's a hugely successful course.
Scarlett, you mentioned grade 5 in singing and piano and music theatre. Do you mean music theatre as for you to perform, or music theatre as part of the course? Because we do study music theatre in the course, I've already explained. If you are singing and you want to perform music theatre a song, then that's perfectly acceptable as well. It just needs to be about grade 5 standards.
And there's nothing to stop you in your performances performing any style of music. It doesn't have to be a classical style piece that you'd perform. It just needs to be of a certain difficulty level to get to access the correct marks. We've had students this year doing, I'm thinking of a bass player that we have, a bass guitarist who's playing stuff by Weather Report, like jazz fusion things. We've got musical theatre performers, we've got classical performers as well. So it doesn't matter that you're not a classical musician, that won't stop you in this course at all. Next question.
One thing I would say as well is that all performances in terms of the A-level course are all done one-to-one basis. So either me you'll work with or Steve you'll work with, and then the back end of the back end towards Christmas the 2nd year, you will then start recording them, and you'll have as many takes within reason to get your best performance, and it's the best ones that then we will send to the exam board.
Okay. Question about when the choirs are. They are on a lunchtime at the moment. The classical choir is a Monday lunchtime, and the pop choir is a Friday lunchtime. So you won't be missing any of your timetable lessons to take part in those. You will have time to eat your lunch before we start singing as well. So don't worry about your digestion or anything like that. The question to do with, do you play the compositions live? There is no requirement for you to do so. They are using usually Sibelius music software. One or two students do use Cubase to record something in a more kind of live way, but the most successful ones tend to be on Sibelius. There's no requirement for you to play your compositions as part of the performance element of your course.
Okay, any other questions about anything at all?
Simon, do you always wear that jumper for work? There's a question.
Sometimes I do.
One thing
I really like about QE is it's sort of the bridging stage between school and university. So even for me as a teacher, I don't need to wear a suit. I can come in a sweater and jeans, and Steve sort of dresses down as well.
Excuse me.
It's that sort of environment. So it is fun. I can't promise the best jokes, particularly from Steve.
Oh, whatever.
I'm good at viola jokes. I think so anyway.
I think basically Simon uses my reject jokes. So if any of you know me, there's one person on this chat that does. She knows the quality of my jokes. These are the best ones. Simon picks all the rejects, so be warned.
Oh, gee, thanks. All courses are hard work. I can't promise it'll be fun the entire way through, particularly early on the course. I generally find the learning curve is actually quite steep. So you might find it's a lot of work, particularly to develop your analytical skills, but eventually, probably about Christmas in the first year, it'll start to level off and you'll start to enjoy the subject much more.
But the lessons are varied, so it's not just kind of sitting in a class and listening to the teacher all the time, or doing one particular method. You'll be doing lots of collaborative work and stuff like that as well. So it is varied. So there'll be, you do lots of like quizzes and things like that, don't you, Simon? Interactive quizzes and things. So it's not all just kind of just writing into a textbook or anything like that. So it will be varied. So there will be a degree of fun in that as well.
Scarlett, to your question, you don't actually need a music GCSE. It's good if you have one. If you don't, it's not a problem. What we're worried about particularly is your ability to read music. Because what essentially happens is early on in the course, like second week, I'll put a score of the Purcell sonata in front of you, and you'll be able to read what's going on. So that is really the key requirement. In bridging week, we normally do a little test to see how well you are, how good you are at reading music. And even if you didn't do very well on that test, it isn't really a formal mark to say you can't get on the course. We essentially would say, right, it's a bit working it over the summer, come back in September. It's just working. Steve can work with you in the grade 5 theory class as well. So it isn't really a problem if you don't have music GCSE.
Oh, there's a viola joke.
Yeah. Alto clef, middle lines, middle C. String music has violas in there, so you will have to read it. It's quite easy, and it's not anything else. Generally, Baroque music doesn't do much anyway, so you can actually omit it most of the time.
Plus, also, I mean, it's you're reading the score to be accurate. You're not reading it, kind of sight reading it to perform or to sing it or anything like that. So there is the element that you can take your time a little bit on the clefs that you're not normally familiar with. You know, as a pianist, you'll be able to read treble and bass clef. There'll be no need for you ever to have read alto clef before. So we would expect, you know, people to have strengths and weaknesses depending on, you know, what their experiences are at this stage. So don't worry if it takes a bit longer on certain clefs. The more you do it, the more fluent you'll get at it. But you'll never need to be fluent, mega quick all the way through. When you're reading a score, you're generally following the melody line anyway when you're listening to the piece and reading the score alongside it. So it's not a biggie.
Any more questions? Not at the moment.
It's not the time to go into your stand-up routine yet, though, Simon.
Any more questions from anyone about anything at all? Other subjects go well with music. Really, it's quite a mixed bag. Music is, we have a lot of people mathematicians who are musically able, so they do music as well. We have scientists that do music. We have people who actually want to create music, so they will do A-level music, they'll do popular music, and they'll do another subject to get their third A-level grade. So music really goes with actually any subject.
We have students in the, currently or in the past where we've had them do physics if they want to go off and do a music technology course, psychology if they're looking at things like music therapy. So it basically does go with pretty much anything. It goes well with languages as well. So there's quite a lot of scope there as well for you. Next couple of questions. How many people are normally in a class and on the course? It's normally around the 10 mark in each class. And we generally have one class per year. We have had as many as, I remember a few years ago, we had, I think it was about 16 on the course. So it does vary depending on who we've got coming up, of course. But it's generally around about the 10 or so mark. The question regarding the BTEC popular music, that is treated as one subject in the same way as any of the A-level courses. So you would study BTEC popular music alongside normally 2 other courses. Now that could be one of the vocational courses like media technical or criminology or something along those lines. But you would need to do at least one traditional A-level to be part of the college. So it could be 2 A-levels and a BTEC. It could be the BTEC, another vocational course, and one other A-level, generally speaking.
Just to go back a number of people on the course, we currently have 8 students in our first year, 11 students in our second year, and we're all getting very well together. It's quite a good rapport in the classroom, and most of them have developed friendships. There are no entry requirements for music per se. As I said, I do like to read music. If you're weak at that, we can help you. And if you're playing an instrument, you need to be about grade 5 standard by the end of the course. Okay. And even if you play at grade 7 standard, we find that if you play a slightly easier piece well, and play a difficult piece less well, you get better marks. So no real entry requirements, Eleanor, at all. One thing I'd like to talk a little about is where our students go post QE. We've had quite a lot of students go to Leeds College of Music, which is now the Leeds Conservatoire.
Was it changed its name again, is it?
Name, yeah. Just got a letter yesterday.
All the best people went to Leeds College, I think, didn't they, Simon?
Not all of them, Steve.
Oh, well, I did.
But we've had students go to Oxford, Cambridge. We had some go to Durham University. We've had students go to LIPA in Liverpool. Where else, Steve? Do you remember anyone else?
Northumbria University, Newcastle University. We've had like music technologists go to Teesside, Lincoln, Derby, Birmingham. We've had them go to the traditional conservatoires like Guildhall and Trinity in London, Royal Academy, places like that as well. The more contemporary courses such as BIM in Manchester or Brighton or London to do more the popular music side. A-level music will still allow you to access those courses as well as people going off to do non-music related courses as well, of course. As Simon mentioned earlier on, the A-level music is a good enabling course for many other subjects.
Any other questions? Okay, So if there are no more questions, we'll maybe call it a night. Both Steve and I can be contacted through QE if you have any questions. My email is sfleming@qelis.ac.uk.
Yeah, and mine is
And Steve's is
at qelis.ac.uk. If you're worried about the spellings, you can just email the normal QE site, which is qe@qelis.ac.uk as well. And any queries will be passed on to the relevant departments. So that's not a problem at all.
okay. Thank you for joining this evening, and I hope you have a good night. I look forward to seeing you at QE next year.